Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And yes, Twitter is behind me. I know, you guys don't like Twitter, but I am on Twitter. I have to keep abreast of all the interesting things that happen. If you want to follow me on Twitter, Sarafi. But new TCG list finally came out. People have been talking about this one for weeks. There have been a lot of predictions about what are going to happen on the list. I've already read it, but I'll go ahead and go over it with you guys because there are some changes here we need to talk about. So, TCG, of course, applies to everywhere outside of Asia, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and North America and Latin America. So it goes live for Europe and the Middle East, Africa, and Oceania in April 22nd and April 15th for North and Latin America. Okay. For the forbidden cards, we are now banning Link Kuriboh. Link Kuriboh is an extremely powerful card that's been very versatile for Snake Eyes for a long time. I know that you guys have seen the combos where Snake Eye takes one of their level 1s, goes into Link Kuriboh, then they summon a different level 1 from their deck, and then when you try and imperm that level 1, they already used the Link Kuriboh as material, they bring the Link Kuriboh back, they send their monsters to the graveyard, dodge your imperm, and then they get to Link summon again. Link Kuriboh has kind of made the Snake Eyes engine more difficult to interact with, giving them a defensive tool they didn't really need. Is it fair that Link Kuriboh gets hit for Snake Eyes' sins? I mean, I wouldn't say so, but at the same time, it's not like any other deck is really using it, so it's probably the best way to deal with Snake Eyes at the moment, and they can kind of make changes as they figure them out. So, unfortunate sacrifice, but necessary in my opinion. Next up, we have Baronne de Fleur. Baronne de Fleur is unquestionably the best synchro monster in the game. That monster was printed 3 years ago, and ever since it has been in every tournament. One of the most expensive cards in the TCG. Well, you know, it's $70. It's a lot of money. It's not at the most expensive, but you know, it's very expensive, and for good reason because it's a really good card. So, what does Baronne getting hit mean for synchro players? It means that we need to be more careful about the ways that we interact with the board, because as you can see right below it, Overload Savage Dragon is also getting hit. So these are two primary ways that synchro players allowed generic negates, either a level 10 or a level 8. This is obviously going to impact a lot of synchro decks. I know that there have been a couple of Kashtira Speedword lists recently that have done really well with Baronne because they make level 3 tuners and then the level 7. You do have options like Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon, but those require specific cards. They are not nearly as generic as Baronne. A lot of the higher level synchro monsters that might have interesting effects, like for example, High Speedway Clearwing Rider or something else, you know, those cards often require synchro tuners. They often require non-tuner synchro monsters. So you're going to see synchro players have to devote more and more of their extra deck to actually establishing a board as opposed to just going into Baronne or Overload at the end of their combo. How does that impact synchro players? It means that you have to be a more dedicated synchro deck. More and more of your extra deck is going to go to building your synchro plays as opposed to just, you know, making the cards that you need. That means you can afford fewer Link monsters. It means that you can afford fewer Xyz monsters. And that's really bad because Links were kind of a nice tech for synchro players to deal with the fact that if they got bricked on tuners or non-tuners, they could at least make some plays. Now we are going to be more and more limited to you have to have a tuner and a non-tuner to actually do anything at all, because more and more of our extra deck is going to be devoted to just synchro cards. This is rough. This is going to hurt synchro players a lot. The last card that's being banned is Summon Limit. Good riddance. For those of you that don't know, Summon Limit is a card that just... Oh, I guess I should talk about every one of these cards, because a lot of my people don't play TCG at all. Link Kuriboh, Link 1, tribute a level 1 monster, special summon this card from the graveyard. You contribute it to make a monster's attack 0. Good card, allows you to basically get your level 1s off the field, and Snake Eyes is a level 1 deck. Baronne negates any card, and then you can tag it out, and it also pops a card. The reason why Baronne is so good is because it doesn't require synchro cards. It's just a tuner plus one or more non-tuners level 10. Savage, level 8. When it's synchro summon, you target a Link monster in your graveyard, equip it, and then you get that many counters equal to its Link rating and half of its attack points. And then you can remove 1 counter per turn to negate any card and destroy it. And then summon limit is continuous trap. Neither player can summon more than 2 monsters in a turn. Crazy. So, summon limit, good riddance. Board load, pretty rough. Barone, even worse. Now for the limit ones. We have Archnemesis Protoss. Cool. Archnemesis Protoss. This is kind of their attempt to make Sword Soul get something back after banning Barone and Borload. Protoss does help Sword Soul out. You know, it means that Sword Soul can basically prevent people from playing Dark Monsters. One copy of Protoss is not the best. It does mean that you're going to basically have to search a worm monster to actually use the card. There are ways that you can search worm monsters in Sword Soul, but this does not make up for the lack of Barone at all. Sword Soul is not a deck that is that powerful, so I don't think that this is going to allow Sword Soul to come back into the meta, especially since Barone has been removed. But for the people who are playing Sword Soul, it gives them other options, I guess. Title, Dragon Ruler of Waterfalls. I don't care about Dragon Rulers. The Dragon Rulers have seen more and more of a resurgence because they're level 7s and they pair very well with Kashtira. Kashtira is getting hit because they do not have access to Barone, so I guess this is their way of trying to make Kashtira get more access to Xyz summons. Kashtira is already very, very good at making rank 7s, so I don't think they need any additional help with that. So I don't think this is going to make any change at all. Thunder Dragon Colossus, that's crazy. Again, I did it again. I'm not talking about what the cards do, I'm sorry. Archnemesis Protoss requires you to have 3 different attributes in your graveyard. It's a weird monster, it's level 11, and it's a dark monster, and you can declare an attribute that's on the field, destroy all monsters of that attribute, and then neither player can summon monsters of that attribute until the end of the next turn. So it's dark, so what you do, because it can't be destroyed by card effects, you summon it and then you declare dark, and it can't destroy itself. And then your opponent's just out of dark monsters. And dark monsters are extremely common. A lot of people play darks, so you kind of blind play that card going first, and then, you know, maybe you win the game, maybe you don't. That's what Protoss does. Title, Dragon Ruler of Waterfalls. It's a level 7. It summons itself really easily, and all the Dragon Rulers recycle themselves. Thunder Dragon Colossus is a lot different. Thunder Dragon Colossus it's a fusion monster, but it can be summoned by tributing a Thunder monster during the turn that you activate a Thunder effect monster's effect from the hand. And it says, your opponent cannot add cards to their hand except by drawing them, which is stupid. That is such a crazy effect. Is Colossus a good card? Yes, Colossus is a very, very good card. And the reason why Colossus is so powerful is because of a card called Nemesis Corridor. Nemesis Corridor is, if you have a banished card, you can reveal this card in your hand, return the banished card to your deck, and special summon it. So it's activating an effect from the hand, then it summons itself, and it's a free summon as long as you banished 1 card. And then you could just tribute it to special summon Colossus from your extra deck. So that makes it really, really easy for basically any deck to play Colossus. So every deck will probably play Colossus. And is every deck playing Colossus good? Yes. Lock your opponent down. Definitely do not sleep on Colossus. It's so easy to summon. If you have access to banishing cards, just play Nemesis. You know, play Nemesis at 3. You won't regret being able to just summon Colossus because it will win you the game 20% of the time. If a card can win you the game 20% of the time from the extra deck, it is worth it. Magispector Unicorn Kirin, that card is the card that's right here. It is a level 6 with a pendulum scale of 2. During either player's turn, you can target 1 pendulum monster in your monster zone and 1 monster your opponent controls, return them to the hands. It cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So Magispectors are cool, but primarily the reason you play Kirin is because you can just continuously bounce cards. You know, it's really, really crazy to just recycle all of your options, and then you also just continuously have Kirin in your main monster zone. It bounces itself so that you can use the effect over and over again. It's, you know, this is just a good card. So if you play Pendulums or if you play Magispectors in particular, definitely play this card. It's fine. Chicken Game Limited. Chicken Game was banned. This card is pretty good. You can pay 1,000 life points to either destroy this card, draw a card, or some other third thing that no one does, and then if you have less life points than your opponent, you take no damage. So that's the idea, right? It's like a chicken game. Both players can use the effect. As long as you continue to pay life points, you can be immune to damage, but if you pay too many life points, then your opponent can just pay 1,000 to destroy the card, and then you get killed. So it's a clever idea in theory, but in practice, it's just a +1 over and over again. It's a soft once per turn, which is why it's, a card that you really don't want to see multiple copies of. It being at 1 isn't that big of a deal, I don't think. It was banned for the longest time. Basically, it makes you play a 39 card deck, and other cards like Upstart Goblin exist. I don't think it's that big a deal, so I'm fine with it. Anti-Spell Fragrance, you can't play spell cards, you have to set them face down first. That's dumb. That's a really, really stupid Floodgates. So if you want to play stupid Floodgates, cool, Anti-Spell Fragrance is at 1. Then we have, for our semi-limited, we have Armageddon Knight and Delicious Memory. Pearly, I don't think Pearly should ever be at full power, so Delicious Memory at 2 is a safe option. And then Armageddon Knight is a dumb card. Armageddon Knight should be banned, but, if Armageddon Knight is going to be in the game, at least it's only at 2. I don't care about Armageddon Knight. I should tell you what Armageddon Knight does. Armageddon Knight is in Duel Links. If this card is summoned, you mill a dark monster. Any dark monster. And it's not once per turn. It's a stupid card. Self-mill is ridiculous, especially when it's a targeted mill as opposed to just the top cards of your deck. So Armageddon Knight, broken card, shouldn't be in the game at all, but if it's going to be in the game, at least it's at 2. And then for Unlimits, we have Destiny Hero Malicious Unlimited. Hero players rejoice. We have never had a meta where Malicious was at 3, and then we also had Destiny Hero Denier and Extra Hero Cross Crusader. Malicious has always been at 2 since Cross Crusader was printed. So you can summon Malicious, send it to the graveyard, special summon another Malicious. Summon Denier, put the Malicious that's banished on top of your deck, link them off into Extra Hero Cross Crusader, revive your Malicious, tribute Malicious, draw any card, banish Malicious, special summon Malicious, link it off, banish Malicious, special summon Malicious. It's just like, there's so many draws from this. That's like, as long as you have 3 Malicious and you have Extra Hero Cross Crusader and Destiny Hero Denier, that's like, your Malicious goes from 1 to 5 cards, something crazy like that. It's so much resources, so many values. And yes, Cross Crusader does hero lock you, but heroes have always been a deck that haven't struggled too much with being locked, despite them not having really any negates except for Plasma. So it's interesting. I don't have a problem with heroes doing well. Heroes are a deck that should do well, in my opinion, because they have a lot of tools that feel fair. I know that they like to play a lot of Floodgates, but as long as you ban the Floodgates, it's fine. Orcus Harp Horror is now unlimited. That's cool. I kind of want to cook with Orcus Harp Horror and the new U-Bell cards, because, dark monsters. Orcus Harp Horror has been banned in the TCG for the longest time, so it going to 3 all of a sudden is pretty interesting. I think it was at 1 previously, and it didn't really change much of anything, so putting it at 3 should be fun. Orcus is not a deck that we really need to be afraid of anymore, so I'm fine with that. Terratop is at 3. Does this matter? No. Speedroids are dead. Speedroids are completely destroyed. We lost Barone. We lost Savage Dragon. What are we going to do? like, you can make Clearwing Fast Dragon as 1 negate. You can make Crystal Wing as another negate, and then you die to Lightning Storm or Raigeki or evenly matched, unless you have Barone, you're too vulnerable to spell cards. You're too vulnerable to traps. We don't have anything like that. We can make Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon for a single spell or trap negate, but it doesn't negate monsters. So that means that if your opponent, sees that you have Crystal Clearwing, they'll just use a monster effect to remove it, and if you have Crystal Wing, they'll use a spell or trap to remove it. So Barone was the answer. Barone is gone. Speedroids dead in the water. This deck has gone from low rogue to tier 4, and Kashtira Speedroids, there's no point in playing them because you can't make Crystal Clearwing without making a Synchro monster. So there's no Synchro 10 that you would want to play. So Kashtira are just going to drop Speedroids as an engine. They're not going to play them anymore. Sky Striker Mobilize Engage is finally unlimited. Do I care? No. Sky Striker's just got a ton of supports. They have a bunch of cards that they need to draw, and Engage is necessary. This is a card. I mean, yes, it's not once per turn. Drawing 6 cards in a turn is crazy, but, I mean, Sky Strikers don't do anything. If you ever tried to watch a Sky Striker player cook, the time rules exist for Sky Strikers. Like, let's be real. Like, Sky Striker players have to run through their entire deck to destroy like 2 cards on the field and attack you for 1,500. And in an 8,000 life point format, it doesn't matter. It's funny to watch Sky Striker players struggle. So I am all for Sky Striker players trying to do something and then failing. Maybe when we get the Link 4 in the English version, then they can start like actually winning the game. But for right now, no. It's pretty worthless. All right, that's the man list. It's fun to look at these cards and see what things are going on. I'm glad that this happened now because I was actually about to go out and start, working on building a TCG deck. So now that I know that Barone's not going to be an option, I'm not going to buy it. So thanks, Konami, for letting me know that right before I spent $60 on it. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.